The sound of crunching gravel snapped me awake at 6 a.m. My bedroom window overlooked the front yard, and through the blinds I caught a glimpse of a woman marching up my driveway like she owned the place. I didn't need a second look to recognize her. Karen, the president of our HOA. Her perfectly pressed pantsuit and oversized sunglasses were a dead giveaway. But what chilled me wasn't her presence. It was the sight of two other HOA board members trailing behind her, clipboards in hand, like soldiers following a general into battle. They weren't supposed to be there. My property line was clearly marked, my gate was shut, and last I checked, the Fourth Amendment was still alive and well. Yet here they were, stepping onto my lawn, taking pictures of my house, scribbling notes like my life was on trial. I felt a rush of anger, but also dread. This wasn't the first time Karen had crossed the line. She'd left snide letters in my mailbox about my non-conforming paint color, even though I'd gotten approval in writing years ago. She'd knocked on my door at night to complain that my porch light was too bright. She once even scolded my teenage daughter for parking slightly outside our driveway when she came home from work. But trespassing? That was new. I stormed outside barefoot, heart pounding. "What do you think you're doing?" I demanded, my voice sharper than I expected. Karen turned slowly like a villain in a movie, lifting her sunglasses to meet my eyes. "We're conducting an inspection," she said flatly. "This property has multiple violations. We're within our rights to document them." "No," I shot back, "you're trespassing. You don't have my permission to be here, and the HOA doesn't own my yard." She smirked. "The community owns you, whether you like it or not." That sentence, that arrogance, set the course for everything that followed. The days after the trespass were hell. I got 3 violation notices in the mail, one for having a shed that was too tall, another for unapproved landscaping changes, and the last claiming my fence didn't meet HOA standards. All bogus. My shed had been approved years ago. The landscaping was literally just mowing patterns, and the fence had been there since before I bought the house. But that didn't matter to Karen. She wanted control. I appealed, of course. I sent letters, I showed receipts. I even attended the board meeting where Karen sat at the head of the table like a queen on her throne. She dismissed me at every turn. "You signed the covenant," she sneered. "You play by the rules or you face the consequences." The board nodded along like sheep. It was a kangaroo court, and I was the enemy. The stress bled into my home life. My wife was furious, not just at Karen, but at me, for letting it get this far. My kids overheard arguments and asked if we were going to lose the house. At night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering if maybe Karen was right. Maybe I should just cave, repaint the house, change the fence, bend the knee. But every time I remembered her trespassing, that smug grin on my property, I knew giving in wasn't an option. So I did what she didn't expect. I fought back. First, I installed cameras around the perimeter of my property. Not cheap ones either. Motion activated, high resolution, with audio recording. If Karen set foot on my land again, I'd have evidence. Then I consulted a property lawyer. Turned out the HOA had no authority to step foot past the sidewalk without my consent. Trespassing was trespassing, plain and simple. Armed with knowledge, I filed a formal complaint with the county, attaching photos from my cameras that showed Karen's little inspection party. It wasn't long before I got a call. The sheriff wanted to talk. A week later, Karen got a knock at her door. She didn't know I was watching from my porch as the sheriff explained the complaint. I couldn't hear every word, but I saw her face go pale, her hands waving in frantic protest. For once, the queen wasn't in control. But Karen wasn't finished. The next HOA newsletter accused me of being a hostile neighbor and endangering community harmony. Neighbors I'd been friendly with for years suddenly avoided eye contact. A few even whispered behind my back at the mailbox. Karen's poison was spreading. That's when I decided enough was enough. If the HOA wanted war, I would give them war, but on my terms. I hired a surveyor to redraw the exact property lines. With the official maps in hand, I built a new fence. Not just any fence, but a tall, solid wall that met every county code, but blocked Karen's sightline completely. No more peeking into my yard. No more clipboards. No more control. The day the last post went into the ground, I felt a surge of freedom. My family cheered. For the first time in months, my kids played outside without fear of Karen watching. Of course, she hated it. She marched up to the fence, pounding on it like it was a fortress gate. "This violates the covenant," she screamed. I walked up calmly, camera in hand. "No, Karen. This protects me from you." The final straw came when Karen tried to fine me for the fence. She sent an official-looking letter demanding thousands of dollars. But she made a mistake. She signed it herself without board approval and without legal standing. My lawyer sent her a cease and desist, along with a threat of a lawsuit for harassment and defamation. That shut her up. The next board meeting was different. Karen wasn't at the head of the table. Word was she'd been pressured to resign after my complaint and the threat of legal action. The board, suddenly humbled, rescinded my violations. One of them even apologized quietly afterward. Life is peaceful now. My fence stands tall, my family breathes easy, and Karen, well, she moved out a few months later. Rumor is she tried pulling the same stunts in another neighborhood. I almost pity them. Almost. When I sit on my porch now, watching the sunset behind my fence, I think about what this fight taught me. People like Karen thrive on fear and submission. They bully, they manipulate, they trespass not just on property, but on peace of mind. And the only way to stop them isn't to bow. It's to stand tall, to know your rights, and to fight back with truth on your side. I didn't just block Karen out of my yard. I blocked her out of my life. For good. And I've never felt freer.